And now please welcome back Leilah.
Hi.
I have a lot to talk.
Thank you.
So tell me, a lot of different kind of cameras there. So it's filmed over a long period of time. Can you tell us about how you got involved with filming it over that long period of time?
You want to talk about the cameras first?
I want to get into it. Watching it for the second time.
I can tell you about that.
I want to know about
that. I always like to start talking about Antioch. There's some people here that have been to Yellow Springs and or know about Antioch College. But it was a place that was just like kind of about like media. And so just like using really simple tools that you could like afford. And eventually, so I started filming with like a Canon XL or GL2, which is a really cheap 4x3 SD interlaced footage that like went obsolete maybe like a year and a half later. And but I really loved the way that it looked, you know, and it was probably like a $2,500 with some finagling in there. And so I was shooting on that and I just like continued. And somewhere along the line, like 5Gs, is that what it's called? 5Ds. They came out and people were like, do you know what a 5D is? Like, do you know what HD is? Can you shoot in that? And so for a really long period, people were like, so this is really cool, this whole world and stuff, but like the footage sucks, you know? So it took a while for everyone to relax,
right?
You know, and like get over it, and time to pass, and just like accept the footage for what it is, you know.
Capturing an era too.
Maybe that the content is also important, and also to me, it's a lot about like red cameras and like pro cameras now, like how difficult they are, and like is that like an inhibitor to filmmaking, or does it make better films? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, I love the aesthetic. I think that you obviously with this and with the flyers too, like it's capturing that era of, what did she say? Fun for real fun. Yeah. Like, and I almost feel like that's tied to the flyers and the cameras. Do you know if you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. It was easier to just like, well, I never filmed with a crew. So I probably have like 400 hours of footage, and then like maybe 4 days out of those I filmed with a crew. I was really not advanced enough in my own personal therapy to be able to like come to a place of honesty with another person in front of a camera and a crew also. It was really hard to like be like, oh, here's a DP and a sound person, and also have like a conversation actually with another person where you need to like get through some big ideas, you know, and get to like a place, another place, you know. I feel like when you're making a documentary or making a film, you try to set up an interview for like 6 months or a year, you know, and by the time the day comes, I feel like, you know, a lot of times I'd be like, I don't want to do this anymore, you know. So it was even harder to have a crew there. So it was just like a camera that was like simple, and post is really, there's a lot.
And how did you decide to incorporate yourself in it? Kind of related.
That would never be my decision. I like worked with an editor who, you know, was like, well, first of all, we need to finish this film. So to finish it would be to like really make this story complete. And so,
how many hours did you have? Were you working with the editor?
I mean, he watched. I don't think he watched all 400. Kind of, maybe though. But you know, we. Not last year, but the year before that, made a 3.5-hour edit that I liked a lot. So, what's the question?
Oh, so you were talking about how you decided to incorporate yourself, but I wanted everyone to know like how much footage you were working with, like right. 400 hours of footage. Mm-hmm. And so, how did you decide to incorporate yourself?
It was really like his suggestion. He like showed me a way, you know, and I like did the job of like not saying anything for a while, you know, until it just like became part of the movie. I was just waiting to like cut it, and then I was like, well, maybe this works, you know.
You decided not to argue.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, my impulse was to cut it like immediately, and then I was like, well, I'm just gonna be quiet for a second.
But it kind of changes the relationship of like, your relationship to those women and the bodies, don't you think? I mean, it's you who's
Oh,
looking
because
at
my body's there too.
Yeah, well, because your body's there, and it's like you're being honest about. It's like this, not this. I don't know. I feel like it's putting yourself and your desire in it. Maybe. No.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just riffing. Okay, I'm gonna turn it to the audience. Does anyone have a question? Yeah.
I just wanted to ask from like an emotional point. Firstly, I thought that film was like one of the best things I've ever seen. It made me feel so much love about like I'm from London, like Babes and Pussy Palace, so like really like bringing this all back at the moment in like a really tender way. But I really wanted to ask you how you felt when the cops turned up. That came in so late in the film. I just wanted to know what that felt like. Must have been scary. And
Confused.
yeah. Because they've been going for so long, right? And then they just appear at that moment. And
I think have you ever been to Los Angeles ever? Like in LA, I think when you grow up there, and if you're a driver, you have this like GPS of like where the cops are. You're like, you can like sense where they are. You're like, there's a cop that's like 3 blocks like west and north, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna make a right. And so like you always, it's the most consistent sound like of like helicopters, and it's like totally present all the time. It's like either news helicopters that are watching a police chase. Police have like really awesome brand new cars that look like they just came out of like Transformers, and there has to be some kind of connection between like action movies and like the new cars cops get in LA, and then also like their sirens. Like I'm like, someone in Hollywood made that. Like it's anyway. So it's like it is the sound. It is the city, and like if you drive, or I stopped driving. I actually moved to New York because I was like, I'm tired of getting pulled over, and I'm tired of like spending money on dealing with these like bullshit tickets, and then actually like getting your license suspended and getting this like, I mean, if you're a person like me that does not like to deal with that shit and will never do it on time, then it like turns into something else. So I would say surprise, and also not surprise in any way.
just the way you were shouting when she was getting handcuffed.
Right.
Like,
I just don't know what you're supposed to do in that. Like, are you supposed to put the camera down and be like, actually, I don't know. I mean, I actually never knew what to do, but I guess that's what happened. So.
Another question? Yeah.
Hey, thanks for the film. That was great. It seemed like a lot of the footage is from like a long time ago. I wondered like if you could tell us a bit about why you started shooting and like what the idea of the film was and what the journey's been to like get to now, which seems like quite a long time since.
So technically it's 16 years, I think, right? I started filming at the end of 2002. It's 2018 now. I originally started shooting just like with an idea about making a labor film, and like something that was like, well, I knew the club was special, and I was working with like legends, and that the show itself was just like everything, and I'm like a person that's like a night person, so I do think that everything that happens in life happens at night, so it was everything in 2 ways. And like, so then I had like my own kind of like agenda about meta perspectives, or like how to talk about systems, like systems analysis or whatever. And like originally I was interested in money, always, but like, and how money works, or money as a metaphor for energy. And so that kind of stuff. And yeah, so I continued to film people for a decade and I guess this is I don't know what else to say. Sorry.
The History is Made at Night stuff. Can you talk a little bit about the original music in it? It's so like noirish.
Thank you for saying that word. Yeah, there is like LA noir, right? But so the music was made by a friend. His name is Tim Dewitt. He was in a experimental indie rock band called Gang Gang Dance, and we've been friends since like we were teens, or I was a teen, and so we kind of have like the same amount of rage, I guess, like about life, and so it was pretty like we worked in this way that was really separate, you know, like I made the film and then he would watch it and kind of send these like long riffs on ideas, sound ideas, maybe like 2 hours long or 2.5 hours long, and then we would cut it, splice it in the film, and work back and forth like that. And I think that that's what his music is really about in a way, is like extreme rage, this score was really about like music to watch the idea of dancing to. So yeah, all the score is original.
And then some of the other cuts. Did you do stuff in post to make it seem like you're like in the club or something, or no?
I think I'm good at that, like at that like drunk vibe. I just remember like that vibe, and just tried to like get it exactly there, you know?
Perfect. Another question there?
I really love the shout. I was speaking. I love the three titles, and I thought I just wanted to understand what your thought process was behind that.
Yeah, thanks for asking that. I think that what, Ian? I think that when you go to the club, the performers are the center, you know, and they really teach you how to be there, you know. So you come, they teach you how to act, kind of, or they teach you how to be in that place. So I was just like, maybe the film should do that too, you know.
Okay, in the back.
Hello, thank you. Amazing film.
Thanks.
I just wanted to ask if the women, going off the question about the footage and the length of time that you were doing it, were the performers aware that this was going to be made into a film one day? And also, what did the women do after the closure of the club? And are you still in touch with the women now? Do you have personal relationships with them?
Yeah, I have personal relationships with them. I think that they should go on tour with the film, and we're trying to figure out how to do that. It's easier in California, but at some point they need to take over and like see how the world responds to the film. We were in touch the entire time because we were still filming. I think that originally when we first started filming, they were like, is this going to be like Cribs? Because that was like kind of the vibe then. And then they were like, oh, it's going to be like, you're going to make so much money, you know? And I was like, let's say that, you know? So does that it? Yeah.
I think one more question. Do we have, yeah?
That's actually about to happen right now. We showed once in Los Angeles it was like small. It was maybe like 70 people for a fusion. And it's like, it's a really nice audience when that happens, you know. Oakland happens this month at Frameline, and then in Los Angeles it's like in July. So I'm like super excited. I had like a really excellent experience screening it for maybe like the gay community of New York, and that was like super special.
Well, thank you all. Thank you, Leilah, so much for your film. And thank you all for coming.